Hello, I'm CK here. So today I'm going to talk about net presence value, NPV. NPV is a well-known capital budgeting method that helps you to decide whether or not to invest into an investment or a project. And an investment with a positive NPV is usually a good investment which you should invest, while if you have an investment with negative NPV, you should reject that. And one of the greatest strengths of NPV is that it considers time value of money. It literally means that the time can change the value of the money, and a dollar that you receive today is always worth more than a dollar that you receive in the future. So before you make any investment decision, you should consider time value of money, or else you might make a wrong investment decision. Okay, I have an example here to illustrate why do we need to consider time value of money before we make any investment decision. So let's assume that you have just borrowed $100 from a bank, and right after that, you invest this $100 into an investment, which promise to pay you 103 1 year later. Without considering time value of money, you will say that, yeah, it seems like a good investment because you are going to earn $3 1 year later. But I can tell you in this example, it's not a good investment, okay? Because you are going to have a cost of borrowing of 5%, okay, interest rate of 5% every year. Why do you have a cost of borrowing? Because remember, the $100 here is a borrowing which you borrowed from a bank, which means that you are going to pay 5% interest rate 1 year later, okay, which you are going to pay 105 in total back to the bank 1 year later. And this cost of borrowing actually is representing the time value of money which you should consider before you make this investment decision. Okay, and here you can see that the time can change the value of money from 100 at year 0 to 105 at year 1. So after you have considered time value of money, okay, then you understand that it's not a good investment because 1 year later you will only be able to receive back 103, but you need to pay 105, which means that you are going to have a loss of $2. Okay, you don't want that to happen. That's why it's not a good investment. Okay, you should not invest into this investment. And how do you consider time value of money? Actually, it's very simple. What you need to do is only you need to compare all the cash flows at a same timing, okay, or at a given point of time. It's like what I'm doing right now. I convert the $100 to 105 at year 1, and then I compare to 103 also at year 1. So I will have an answer that have already considered time value of money, okay, which actually is -2, a loss of $2. I should not invest into this investment. I can do it like this way, or I have another way to do so. I can also convert the 103 at year 1 back to an amount at year 0, which actually is 98.10. How do I get this amount? You can use this formula, or what we call discounting process. Okay, or if you don't want to calculate, you can just imagine that if let's say 1 year later, the maximum amount you can pay back to the bank is 103, because 1 year later you will be only able to receive 103. Okay, if that would be the case, how much you can borrow today, maximum amount? So the maximum amount you can borrow today is only 98.1. Okay, this one is the maximum amount you can borrow because 1 year later, you can only afford to pay 103. Okay, but in this case, you can see you have borrowed 100, which actually exceed the maximum amount you can borrow. That's why it will lead you to a loss of 1.9 based on today's value. And this negative 1.9 is what we call net presence value. Okay, and when this one is a negative, it means that it's a bad investment and you should not invest into this investment. Okay, a summary. So this one is the formula of net presence value, which you can always see from your textbook. And I have an example here and all the workings and the answer. Okay, but I just want to explain that actually what we are doing here is actually just we are converting all the cash flows, both present and future, to a single presence value, which we call that net presence value. Actually, all the workings, what we are doing here is just we are converting like this -1,000. At year 0 is -1,000. So always you can see the first figure, it will be using the original amount because it's already a presence value. And we try to convert all the futures values, okay, 1 year later, 2 years later, 3 years later, and so on, okay, we convert all the future cash flows to a present value. Okay, and then we add up all the cash flows, then we get a net present value. And again, why do we need to do that? Is because we want to consider time value of money. Like what I've just said, as long as you can compare all the cash flows at the same timing or at year zero, then you have already considered time value of money and you are going to have a better investment decision. And that's the sharing for today. Thank you very much, and I will see you next time.